Been on a virtual conference or on a virtual call and the person addressing the audience was so monotone that you were eagerly awaiting for it all to be over? Well, engaging with an audience takes a little bit of being able to connect with the audience and maybe a little bit of charisma too. So how do you increase your charisma quotient? Well, stick around because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Welcome to Waist Up Wardrobe. I'm Christine Vartanian, a civil engineer and attorney turned personal style expert and image consultant. As the founder of Jade for All Seasons, I am passionate about unveiling the inner confidence of my clients by developing their personal style. But is getting dressed up still important in our virtual world? Well, that's where my experience can help with what I call Waist Up Wardrobe. Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast for all things you need to conduct an outstanding Zoom meeting. It's about how to dress for the camera, but it's not just about the clothes. It's about everything you need to know to show up on brand and professionally for the camera. Join me in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio to discuss how to navigate this virtual world and dominate from behind the desk. Hello, Virtual Nation. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Waist Up Wardrobe, episode 45, where we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with camera charisma and how to really work that camera charisma muscle so that you can actually be able to engage your audience effectively. But before we get started, remember, Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast that you can find on iTunes and you can find on YouTube, and it's on replay all the time, forever, on this page, on this Facebook page, ready for you to pick an episode and listen to it at any time you wish to do that. So go to the podcast, go and subscribe to the podcast and rate us and review it if you can. And I just also want to recognize that Rick Moscoso, my producer, who's always here and always making this whole show go round, is in the green room, taking care of everything, the production room, and making this show turn around seamlessly. So also, this is an interactive dialogue. Please drop your comments, ask us the questions that you have, because we love responding to your questions and giving you action items to put into action right away. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started and introduce our really special guest who I've gotten to know more and more over the years, but he is this outstanding actor and master of ceremonies that really knows a little bit about camera charisma and being on camera. So Jesse Melanowski is a national speaker, professional film, TV actor, and founder of the acting school Get Seen. Jesse has inspired the career of tens of thousands of actors across the country while influencing an equal amount of entrepreneurs from coast to coast. He's a winner of Atlanta's Apex Society Power 30 Under 30 and best-selling author of Turning Rejection into Success. While he hosts countless CEO conferences from coast to coast, bringing fun energy and determined motivation, you've also seen him on primetime television and on the big screen, whether it be American Reunion, NCIS New Orleans, or 24 Legacy, to name a few. Welcome, Jesse Melanowski, to the Waist Up Wardrobe Show. Hi, Jesse, and look at you. You are so charismatic already. I can't wait to dive deep into all the conversation we're going to have today. And I have to say that I've seen you on stage so many times, and it's incredible to me how you're able to engage the audience and get participation. And that has a lot to do with your ability to connect with people. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. And, just to comment on that, a lot of people, I think, look at maybe somebody on stage and they're like, oh, they're so talented at that. That just comes naturally to them. And it's like anything else. It's something that I had to work at. So, if you're somebody that is completely terrified of the stage, or, you see somebody up there and you're like, I could never do that, it's just simply not true. You totally can. It just does take practice. I remember when I first got into it, my buddy was doing it, my friend was doing it, and I was like, oh, he's just going around having so much fun. I want to do it. And I convinced someone to give me a microphone, and I completely bombed. I was horrible. So it took lots of practice to get there.
Yes, it does take practice, that's for sure. Anne-Marie Keene is here. She's saying, excited for the show today. And Susie Hickston is also here, looking great, she says. Thank you. Thank you,
right.
Susie. Thank you for being here. Jesse, I always start out with 60 seconds to get to know the guests. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
This is rapid fire.
Oh, all right. Hold on then. Let me get ready.
All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Really? Do you have one?
I do.
Oh.
Dolly! Dolly! She didn't come.
That's okay.
She'll come later.
Stage or TV?
Oh, man, I do both, but I'll say TV because it pays more.
Yes. And it's very cool to be famous like you are. Okay. Eating healthy or exercising fiercely?
Eating healthy.
I know that about you because you had a Facebook page that was health oriented, right?
Yeah, my wife and I did it. That's so crazy. You remember that? Yeah, we called it Let Us Show You Around. It was how to be vegan.
I know. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was about us traveling around, and we found that every time we went to a different city, it was hard to find vegan options. So it was Let Us Show You Around. We're also doing puns, But side note, I'm also not vegan anymore, but I still try to eat as plant-based as often as I can. Yeah.
That's impressive. Being vegan is tough, but that is impressive that you gave it a shot and that you're doing your best there. Susie is saying, hi, Jesse. Where's the blush pink suit from? Pinnacle? Hope to see you break that again soon. Yes, well, lots of compliments here. Thank you, audience, for this. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Emery, for being here. I'm going to dive right in. I'd love for you to give me your perspective and your definition of what camera confidence really means to you as an actor.
Camera confidence is, it has to, I think it's a lot more to do with your message, right? And whatever you're saying in front of the camera, right? And so as long as you understand kind of what you're talking about, and I think that's why people struggle when they try to get in front of the camera, because they're saying, I know I need to do this, right? And so it's just about this thing that they need to do. And so if you don't have any direction in what you're saying, why you're saying it, why it's important, That's, I think, where people struggle. And so that's what's then going to bring the confidence.
Yeah. So I threw you off a little bit because I meant to say camera charisma and I said camera confidence. But interestingly
That's right. I'm
enough,
ready for everything.
yeah, you do need some level of really working on the confidence in front of the camera to really achieve the charisma, right? And charisma, I think, just from my research about charisma, and just because I have to be on camera at least weekly, it's really about being able to connect with the audience and being able to influence them in some ways. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the influence is really the key with charisma. I'm reading Simon Sinek's book, the like Know Your Why or What's Your Why. I forget the exact title of it, but it's about your why. And he actually just talked about something with charisma that I feel like is pretty relevant. Talking about when Bill Gates retired, and the new guy, I don't remember his name. He was on stage and he was so energetic and he really hyped everyone up and everybody was like super excited. But it was like, how long will that excitement, being able to just motivate people in that moment, really continue? Bill Gates, complete opposite. He wasn't like rah anything, right? If anything, people might say like Bill Gates was super boring, but he had a certain charisma about him. And that, I think, is the influence. It's about a why. It's about, you getting behind that. And I think that charisma is what influences people.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because charisma looks different for different people.
Yeah, definitely.
Not everybody has to be this big personality talking with their hands to achieve charisma. It's actually about that connection and the influence that you're able to foster with the person you're talking to. But sometimes, and I feel I do this sometimes too, is that when you get on camera in your natural tone, right? Sometimes I feel like I have to actually take it up just a touch, like just a notch than my normal tone to really, come off as enthusiastic and trying to connect with the audience. Do you find that to be true for most people, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely do. I think it's about each person, right? So I'm so comfortable in front of the camera that I don't necessarily have to like bring anything, right? I think some people, but if I was like, oh yeah, we got to bring it, right? Then I'm going to be way too much. All right, I brought the energy, right? And people are going to be like, oh my God, chill. But most people, because they're getting in front of the camera and we're talking about kind of that confidence and that comfortability, most people are not comfortable in front of the camera. So the first thing they're going to do is kind of come down a little bit. So it's like up your energy to actually just get you where you need to, which is kind of your neutral or maybe a little bit more energized. So I think it's going to be different for each person. It depends on your comfort level in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I do think that you could probably up it a little bit. Know that that's important because the camera's it's just going to take a little bit from you because of that lack of confidence a little bit. So if you know that you need to bring a little bit extra, it's going to play well.
So it's interesting. The camera does take a little bit of energy out, and you're saying it is because most people aren't super confident being in front of a camera. It doesn't feel natural for them.
No, I mean, think about it, right? Like, right now I'm looking directly into a camera lens. I'm not even looking at you, right? But I know that this is going to connect more with the audience. The average person, we're looking at each other, right? So they're not just looking at a camera lens, and the camera lens can kind of be like scary. It's like this just like black hole of like nothingness, right? So that's super uncomfortable. It's just something that you're not used to doing unless you are like someone that's in front of the camera all the time. You're a news anchor. Looking at that camera lens is not going to be all that comfortable. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit weird. It feels disconnected, right? So there's a lot of different things that I think are going to make people feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's so fascinating because there's so much psychology that comes into play here. But there's also this element of an idea of being likable, right? And that's kind of a piece of being charismatic, is that you want to, if you're going to influence somebody, you have to be likable, you have to be trustworthy, right? So have you found that also as an ingredient for, up leveling your charisma value, your quotient on charisma?
Being likable.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that, I think we just need to focus on being ourselves. And I think you need to know that some people are going to like you and some people aren't.
100%.
And that's okay. Just if you have a product and it's going to be perfect for some people and not perfect for other people. And so I think the same thing kind of goes with that likability. So I wouldn't focus too much on, I want to make sure I'm likable. I think you focus on being you. If you focus on being you, that's authentic. If you're being authentic, I think you will show some charisma in some sense, and you can continue to build that. But ultimately, I think that's what it is, right? Charisma is having that why, right? Mm-hmm. Being yourself and being authentic. If you do that, I think your charisma will shine. I think your charisma will come through. And it'll be for some people and it won't be for some people, right? Like, we know each other from me being on stage and hosting the events. We both know that there's some people, I don't know if I know anyone, but sometimes they don't want to like get up and dance and be energized and all this stuff, right? They don't want to do it. And so like, I'm not necessarily their cup of tea, right? Because they're just like, that's just a little much, right? But I'm like, that's okay. I'm not worried about that person. I'm worried about all the people over here that freaking love it. And I'm energizing and they're having so much fun. So I think when you're going into it, know that your charisma and your likability isn't necessarily going to be for everyone, but don't worry about the other people. That's the problem. We so often worry about all the people that don't like it and we're like, how can we get them? Who cares about them? Let's worry about the people that love it, that love you, that like you, that see your charisma, that believe in your why. Let's focus on them.
Yeah. So good. I'm so happy I asked that question, because what that really shows is that the focus shouldn't be on being likable. It's really about, you have to be yourself, you have to be authentic, and that will naturally come. Because if you are authentic and you are focused on your why, which, your passion, the why you do what you do and the passion behind what you do is what comes through when you're really living your why and staying true to your why. I love that nugget that you just gave. So being authentic and really focusing on your why, because it's not about, again, having a big personality or being loud or whatever. It's about being authentic and focusing on why you do what you do. So let me ask you, you mentioned Bill Gates, and he has a different style and he's very charismatic in his way, and he connects with people, is very influential. But who are some of the most charismatic, famous people in your opinion?
So I had to think on this one. So I grabbed like a guy and a girl. I grabbed both actors, but Hugh Jackman, I absolutely love. He played Wolverine, but a lot of people don't know that like he actually was found from like Australian musical theater. So like, he also like toured and did like this one-man show where he just like danced and sang and all this stuff. And to me, again, he's just like so authentic, so real, especially like if you follow him on Instagram or like Twitter or something, he's always like giving shout outs to like his wife, and he's just randomly like tap dancing and like he's the most interesting man in the world to me. Like I love Hugh Jackman. So, I mean, to me, he's just so charismatic, and he can play the super serious guy, like in a superhero movie, or be dancing around tap dancing in the next movie. And to me, I just think that's incredible, because some people might be like, oh, well, I'm the superhero, so I have to be tough and strong and only worried about that. I can't be like putting on tights, right? And so to me, he's just being him, and he just loves to perform. So to me, he's someone that is super charismatic. And I think, again, everyone, like, remember that a charisma is something that like inspires you, right? To like almost like want to follow someone. I mean, ultimately, that's what being charismatic, I think, is. And I would follow that guy anywhere. And so if I took a woman, I would take Brie Larson. Happens to also be a superhero. She plays Captain Marvel now, but before that, she played in some other movies that were really, really good. Like The Room was nominated for an Oscar. But what made me really fall in love with her is she randomly just started giving like actors advice on like a YouTube channel. And I think she did like a 4-part series, and she was just the most real. Again, so this is what I keep saying, just real, authentic. I was like, I'm getting that person. This is no fluff. It's just this person. And I love it. I love it. You know, and I think that's really what it comes down to.
Authenticity. The theme here I'm hearing is authenticity, and it makes sense because, you know, people are smart. They know if you are putting on a show or if you're being the true you, and that's what people want. They want to see that. So I really I'm getting really educated here on really, you know, unpacking what charisma really is and what that looks like for different people. And you know, the research does say that you can learn to be more charismatic. You can, you know, practice it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's true. I totally think that. I think probably though, what a lot of it comes down to, maybe, you know, I haven't done much research on that, on like how can we educate ourselves to be more charismatic. But so they may teach this part, they may not. But I think often we're like judging ourselves way too much, right? Or we're focusing on the person that doesn't like us, or the person that's not buying the product, or the customer that's not our customer. And that's what we're focusing on. And so, and you know, I find that because I work with a lot of actors as well, right? It's the actors are always worried about the auditions they didn't get, or the auditions that they haven't gotten, or you know, it's all the negative things. We're always worried about that. You know, it's rare that we're waking up every day and we're just focused solely on the positives, right? And I think if we were, I think that would help immensely because we would feel better about ourselves. Therefore, if we feel better about ourselves, we are more confident about the path and the journey that we're on and what we're walking, right? And if we're feeling more confident, then we're going to bring our true self. Because if we're not feeling that, then we're like, do I need to bring someone else? Right? Are you going to like me more if I have more energy? Maybe I should smile more. You know, maybe she wants me to smile, right? Like, and I'm thinking all these things, right? All that's really saying is like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, right? And so I think if these are the things, even subliminally or way back there, if this is what we're thinking, then, and we can work that out, then the charisma can shine. And so I think ultimately, absolutely, we can work on it. Absolutely. Someone that maybe if we're rating charisma 1 through 10, right? They're a 2, they can absolutely get to a 4 or an 8. You can absolutely work on it.
Yeah. So you bring up the fact that mindset really has a lot to do how we come off on camera, and it plays into charisma. We had a whole episode on mindset and just talking about how if you are showing up, if you're confident, it will show on the camera. What your mindset is set on will come through, so that it's always important to get that mindset right. So I love that you reiterated it in this show too, because it just ties everything together. And Tira Jarvis is here, and she's saying that she loves your spin on the topic, Jesse, and and she's just joining us here. And stick around, Susie, Anne Marie, and Tira. We have a really special offer at the very end with the special hashtag that Jesse's going to be offering as a really amazing opportunity. So stick around until the end. We've got, you know, we're almost halfway through the show, or maybe we are halfway through the show, but stick around because we don't want you to miss that opportunity. You know, Jesse, the preparation.
Well, wait, if we're halfway through, we need like a halftime thing. So I want you to know I showed up the way I should have with waist up wardrobe. I'm in shorts. I want you to know I did it proper for you. I did it the way I should.
I love it. Thank you. That is so awesome. What a surprise. I get you modeling actually what the show's about. I appreciate that.
There you go. You know you're going to get those thighs on the camera, did you?
No, this is going to be very high value show, by the way. And unfortunately, people listening to on audio are not going to have the opportunity. Susie's saying, is this an adult only show? It's boxers. It's totally G-rated. Okay. We talk about preparation and practicing. Do you think that helps with charisma at all? Although, like, as we were talking about authenticity, do you really practice authenticity? But maybe just practicing being in front of the camera. Does that fit into the formula at all?
Yeah, it's like a yes. It's like a yes and no, right? It's a complicated one because practice is like yes, but then there is something called over rehearse. So I would say, practice by if you're someone that wants to get in front of the camera and do marketing videos or put on an amazing show like this, you got to practice, right? You got to know that maybe episode 1, 2, 3 aren't going to be exactly the way you want, but you know that episodes 4, 5, 6 are going to be better. And you're going to continue to grow. So that's the practice. But you can also get in front of the camera and be like, this is how the marketing video should be. And you do it 97 times and you end up going with take 2 because it just gets over rehearsed and less authentic.
So I have to, Rick is probably in the production room laughing because he does all my videos and that is what I do. I over prepare. And sometimes I'll come up on the show and I'll be like, Rick, I did not rehearse at all. I did not prepare. He goes, good. Yeah. Finally, we'll have a good show. So it's so funny. I can totally relate to that. And I'm sure he's chuckling back there. He goes, because we'll do like 50 takes and I'll go, okay, well, the third one was great. I totally relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And, eye contact. Really critical, don't you think? Because we're trying to connect with that audience through that lens.
Well, so eye contact, but it's interesting, right? So it's not the traditional eye contact, right? Mm-hmm. So eye contact, if we were in person, is me looking into your eyes. In this case, and it's funny, I told you that I teach actors too, and so now actors have to do like a live Zoom audition. Normally they're in the room. So it's a similar thing here. I'm like, I call it like connecting is not connecting for the person. It's weird, right? So if you're doing a video and you're wanting to connect, it's looking directly into the lens, right? But if you're on a Zoom, think about that also, right? So you might be like looking down here and they're talking to you and then I'm talking back, but everybody is going to feel a lot more disconnected right now, right? Like put in the chat right now, how many of you feel more disconnected if I'm talking like this? But this is the normal Zoom. This is what you normally do. But as soon as I come up here, everything changes. So yes, the eye contact is so important, but you have to realize that it's not eye contact in the traditional way. Now we have to connect and I have to be so present and I have to really truly listen, right? And really be present with you, but I'm looking directly into the lens so you feel connected.
Yeah. It is remarkable, actually, that little piece of information you gave is huge because it takes so much more effort. And like you said, so much more presence from the speaker to understand what they are actually doing. They have to look at the camera and really feel that they're connecting with people. And that's all you can really go on. You can't be staring at the screen because when you stare at the screen, then you get disconnected and that's not optimal. And that's why this episode is so critical to people having a professional virtual office to understand that you're not connecting with eye contact in the traditional way. It is a different way of connecting and there is a different way of doing it and thinking about it. And Susie is saying, oh my God, that's a huge difference. And it is. And I don't think people, we're still not completely used to being in a virtual world. And I have to say that the virtual world is not going away, right? I mean, we will go back to normal things and we will be doing things in a hybrid way. But this new opportunity that we have to be able to connect from anywhere in the world to anybody else in the world is not going away. So we do have to up level the way we show up. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're just going to add this in. So the normal stuff is essentially what's going to happen, right? Like, yeah, things will open up. Things will like go back to whatever normal is. But yeah, I mean, there's just too much convenience in what we've all discovered. There's no way we're going back.
Exactly. Susie says, I need to work on looking at the camera. I can see this certainly being a practice thing. It is, I'm always messing that up. I have this tendency, I want to look at the person I'm talking to because that's what we're used to. But the real way to connect is really focusing in on that lens. And it can be very challenging and it takes a lot of practice. So the next thing I want to move into is dressing for the camera, which is sort of, in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
how important do you think that is? And how much do you think that impacts the charisma of a person? And I'm not talking, it doesn't have to be like dressing in a high end outfit, but just dressing up for the camera in an appropriate way.
Well, I'll tell you, this is something that as an actor, when I audition, or my wife and I, put together auditions that we have to, put on tape, and then we send it to the casting director, you dress the part. So I think it's the same thing with anything, right? And so, like, to quickly talk about kind of how it works, right? So the casting director will send out, the breakdown of the character that they need, right? And a bunch of actors will get it. The agent will send it out, and then all the actors are sending in their what's called a self-tape, sending in a tape, and then the casting director goes through it, right? And so we have to do everything we can to tell the casting director, I'm the person, right? So you want to dress the part. You obviously want to know your lines, do the best that you can, but something that's going to help, if I look like the role, like if I'm going for a police officer, I don't need to necessarily get a police officer uniform or anything like that. But if I'm wearing a collared shirt that a police officer might wear with a tie or something, it's like, oh yeah, he looks like a cop, right? Mm-hmm. As opposed to like being in a flannel, like that doesn't look like a cop, right? So it's these little things like that I even do in acting that I think completely, like 100%. You want to dress for, like, you want to act like you've been there before, kind of. And so if you're, depending on what you're selling, right, or depending on what you're marketing or what you're trying to help people with, that, yeah, you got to dress the part.
I love that, dressing the part for the camera. And that is something I talk about a lot. If you are in a profession that is really formal, you want to dress formally, especially if you're going to interview for a job that requires you to have a formal dress code. But if you are in a casual environment and the dress code is casual, it's perfectly acceptable to do that. And now just tying it in with charisma, it shows that you understand. And charisma has so much to do with empathy and understanding and connection, that the image you project is another way of communicating that I understand what shoes I'm stepping into. I understand this role and I've come prepared for this role. So I love the way you said that, dressing for the part. I'll remember that. I'll be repeating that to myself a lot. If somebody is has gotten feedback about being monotone. I mean, we've all been in a room where, a speaker has so much great content and you're very captivated by the content. And that's, of course, trumps everything, but is just really monotone. Do you have any recommendations for somebody who comes to you and says, listen, I speak a lot, but I lose the audience at some points?
Yeah, what I would say is I would probably, the first thing I would say is, I would try to help them with it naturally. And so what I mean by that is I would try to get them to incorporate some more personal stories into their talk. Because if you're telling a personal story, there should be some like inflections, I was at the grocery store and, I bought some avocados. Normally they're expensive, but then I found out it was on sale. That's just going to kind of come naturally because it happened to you, right? And it was an exciting moment. I got sale on avocados. So that would be the first thing that I would do. That would almost be like I'm trying to like incept it. I'm trying to like Jedi mind trick it into their talk, into their keynote. But then the next thing I would do is, you got to find ways to practice it, right? So which part of this is maybe a little bit more exciting? Try to throw some energy in there. Remember the word inflection, remember the word tempo, remember the word speed. If you're thinking about these things, right? And if I'm someone that normally does more monotone and all of a sudden I remember the word inflection, maybe on the next word, I'll throw something up there. If I'm a little bit more monotone and I'm thinking about the word speed, I'll go, oh yes, maybe I should speed up for a quick moment because this part is really, really important. So everyone listen, right? And so I think if you can remember those three words along with throwing in some stories, that's gonna do you wonders.
Amazing advice. And you have something really special that you are offering the audience here today when they insert the hashtag charisma and shine into the comments. And that, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have a class and a course, and so the class is going to be incredible. It's called Thrive Online. And so it's pretty much at the end of the day, it's one of the quickest ways for you to gain more confidence in front of the camera. And if you're somebody that's wanting to be ready in front of the camera, be able to break down any kind of marketing video or any kind of content in a super quick way and essentially be able to make a script for any video, then you want to show up. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm going to go over kind of my 3 secrets into forming a script just like that, and getting in front of the camera and making it easy.
That is so awesome. The hashtag is charisma and shine, and is it an hour long or so? And and this is complimentary, right?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
actually going to be live. Normally, a lot of people like to here's my list of 10 favorite things. It's actually going to be a live class that I'm going to teach. It'll be via Zoom, so it'll be incredible. I think we have it scheduled in June. I forgot the date already, but we have it scheduled in June. It'll be 60, 90 minutes, and I promise you'll get what you're coming for.
Anytime I can be around you, Jesse, and I can get that energy, I welcome it. So thank you for offering that very generous complimentary hour of just learning from you and your genius. I really appreciate that. So hashtag charisma and shine, and we will get you in that class with Jesse. Did you say it was live?
Yeah, it's going to be live.
Oh my goodness. So we'll
You're not even getting a replay. I'll be there.
That is phenomenal. Okay.
I'll make sure I'm not wearing pants.
Okay, great. We'll have a lot of entertainment value. And Manny here, it says hashtag charisma and shine. And thank you for joining us. And we do a wrap up at the end. And basically, we would just want to give everybody that nugget, that final thoughts that we want them to walk away from today, Jesse. So if there's one takeaway for everybody to really remember when it comes to showing up confidently and charismatically on camera, what would that be?
It would be to remember that the authenticity is what you need to bring. And I think that then deconstruct it, right? So if you are like, well, okay, I am trying to be authentic, right? Then it needs to be broken down into like, are you sure that you're as confident as you need to be? Do we need to up the confidence, right? If you're like, I think I feel a little bit better, I feel good about my confidence, it obviously could be better, but then deconstruct that down to, why are you really getting in front of this camera, right? Because it's not about like selling a product, it's about serving people, right? So I think, getting clear with that why, then up to the confidence brings that authenticity. So, build in whichever way you need to. But to me, I would say that's kind of my biggest takeaway in just the conversation and the things that we've gone over that, I'm even going to remember moving forward.
The why is interesting, that's part of your philosophy, because the why is our passion, right? And when you're passionate about something, it's going to be natural. It's going to be enthusiastic because you're so passionate about it. And that the why is what makes you passionate. And Tira Jarvis is here. She said, hashtag charisma and shine. Boy, you are in for a treat. Whoever gets into this class is honestly just the pure fact that it's live is so cool of you to offer this, Jesse. So thank you so much for that. So, yeah. So tools, are there any tools out there that people can use or reference to help them with, sharpening their camera charisma?
I'm sure you can find things, on YouTube, and, it's just, finding ways to practice. I have a program. You can find it at thrivewithjesse.com. Obviously, we're going to do that class together if you sign up for that as well. So there's a lot of different things, but if you're like, I don't know which way to look, and there's a million different products, right? Which one do I do? And you like what you've heard today, then the easy choice is signing up for the class that I'm going to do in June for you guys.
And I love that your class is geared towards entrepreneurs. I know you're a teacher, you teach actors, the trade, but you also, you're around a lot of entrepreneurs, and you know how they think, and you know what their challenges are when it comes to showing up on camera, and how important it is for them to market through the camera, especially nowadays, right? So I love that this class that you just said, we're going to put the URL in the comments for everybody to check out. And the class, I believe we set it up, the free class we set up for June 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday, yes. June 22nd. And that's the free complimentary interaction you'll get to have with Jesse, where he's going to teach you his secret sauce. So join us that day and really take advantage of that opportunity. But I love that you were that you're offering this, and it surrounds the idea of entrepreneurs and how they should show up, because a lot of the viewers here are entrepreneurs, and they're like, well, why do I even need this? But you need it. You need something like this, because you need to be able to connect with the audience, and you need to be able to come off as your authentic self. So and finally, is there an action item? Is there one thing that they could do right away that just can up level their camera charisma?
Make a video right now.
Yes, an impromptu video. I love that. I love that. You know what I love about you, Jesse, is that you always shoot from the hip, and you nail it. If all of us can be a little bit more like that, boy, will our charisma come through, or what? Because our authentic self is coming through. If we just focus on what we do and why we do it, and the passion and the soul of our business, well, I don't think we can go wrong coming through as confident and as charismatic. So thank you for being here today, Jesse. And there you have it, Virtual Nation. Your Waist Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up. Thank you for being here and joining us. Remember, #charisma and shine. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity, do not miss this opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to be making video. And if you want to know how to come through that lens and connect with your audience member, this would be a perfect kickoff and springboard for you. So do not miss this opportunity. I believe we schedule it for June 22nd, and Jesse will give you his secret sauce. So don't miss that. And join us here, same time, same place, 11:30 Pacific Standard Time, where we're going to bring you another episode of Waist Up Wardrobe, and invite a friend.